Tonight, you are going to do something terrifying. Not metaphorically, literally. In a few hours, you will willingly surrender consciousness. You will close your eyes, lose awareness of the room around you, become motionless, paralyzed, defenseless, and disappear. Every single night, humans perform this ritual without questioning how strange it truly is. Think about it carefully. If a deer falls unconscious for too long, it gets eaten. If a monkey loses awareness in the wrong moment, it falls from the tree. In nature, unconsciousness is vulnerability, and vulnerability usually gets you killed. Yet somehow, the human brain evolved to spend nearly 1/3 of life in exactly that state. Not alert, not watching, not surviving. Gone. Over the average lifetime, you will spend nearly 26 years asleep. 26 years. That is not a tiny biological inconvenience. That is an enormous evolutionary sacrifice. Which raises a disturbing question. Why would nature allow something so dangerous unless it was absolutely necessary? Most people think they already know the answer. Your body gets tired. Your brain needs rest. You need to recharge. But that explanation has always been incomplete. Because if sleep were only about restoring energy, evolution should have found a safer solution by now. Something faster, something lighter, something less fatal. But instead, your brain demands total surrender. And the deeper scientists looked into sleep, the stranger it became. In 1953, two researchers at the University of Chicago made a discovery that shattered the old understanding of sleep forever. Nathaniel Kleitman, Eugene Azarinsky. They were studying sleeping infants when they noticed something deeply unsettling. Beneath the baby's closed eyelids, their eyes were moving violently, rapidly, as if they were watching something invisible. Then came the real shock, the brain activity. The infants' brains were not shutting down. They were exploding with activity, almost awake, sometimes even more active than during normal consciousness. This became the first major discovery of REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep, the phase where vivid dreams occur. And suddenly scientists faced a paradox. If sleep exists for rest, why does the brain become intensely active while you are unconscious? That question changed neuroscience forever, because it revealed something disturbing. Sleep is not passive. It is a process, an active reconstruction. While you lie there unconscious, your brain is working furiously in the dark. And then researchers discovered something even stranger. During REM sleep, your body becomes almost completely paralyzed. Think about that. Your brain intentionally disables your muscles while generating intense dream experiences. Why? Because otherwise you would physically act out your dreams. Your body is restrained while your mind travels elsewhere, like a prisoner locked inside its own nervous system. Breathing changes, heart rate fluctuates, emotions surge, memory fragments collide. Meanwhile, consciousness dissolves into symbolic hallucinations your waking self barely understands. The king disappears. The unconscious takes the throne. And this is where the story becomes almost existentially terrifying. Because neuroscientist Giulio Tononi eventually proposed an idea so unsettling, it changed how scientists viewed the sleeping brain entirely. What if sleep is not mainly for resting the brain, but for deleting parts of it? Think about your day. Every face, every sound, every embarrassment, every notification, every argument, every image. Your brain records all of it. Tiny neural connections strengthen constantly while you are awake. But if that process continued endlessly, your mind would eventually become overloaded. A psychological landfill. Too much noise, too many pathways, too much emotional clutter. So Tononi proposed something radical. Sleep is the brain's editing process. Every night, your nervous system decides what deserves to survive and what deserves to disappear. Read that again carefully. Your brain is not simply storing your life, it is curating it, which means parts of your experience are being erased while you sleep. Quietly, automatically, without your permission. Weak connections fade, important ones strengthen, emotionally charged memories get reorganized. The brain trims itself like a sculptor carving away excess stone. And suddenly sleep starts looking less like rest and more like controlled destruction, because identity itself depends on memory. Your personality, your fears, your attachments, your emotional triggers, all emerge from repeated neural patterns. And every night, those patterns are being modified. You are being psychologically rewritten in the dark. That is not poetry. That is neuroscience. Researchers eventually discovered something even more unsettling. During deep sleep, waves of cerebrospinal fluid begin washing through the brain itself, literally cleaning it, removing metabolic waste, clearing toxic proteins, flushing out neurological debris accumulated during waking life. Your sleeping brain behaves less like a powered-down machine and more like a city under nighttime reconstruction. Repairs, demolitions, reorganization, entire emotional landscapes quietly shifting while your conscious mind vanishes. And here's where the psychological implications become enormous, because studies from Harvard Medical School found that emotional experiences replay during sleep in altered forms. Your brain revisits humiliation, fear, attraction, grief, conflict, not randomly, actively. Sleep changes how you feel about your own memories. An embarrassing moment that felt unbearable yesterday may feel dull tomorrow because your sleeping brain quietly reduced its emotional intensity overnight. Or the opposite, a hidden fear can deepen silently beneath awareness while you sleep, which means something deeply uncomfortable becomes true. The version of you that wakes up tomorrow is not psychologically identical to the version going to sleep tonight. Not completely. The neural architecture changed, the emotional weight shifted, the internal narrative evolved slightly, and yet every morning, you assume continuity. You assume the same you returned. But how would you ever prove that? Think carefully. Every night, consciousness disappears completely. Your sense of time vanishes. Your awareness dissolves. Your identity fractures into dreams and unconscious processes. Then suddenly, morning arrives, and the brain reconstructs the illusion of continuity. But perhaps continuity itself is partly fiction, a story your nervous system tells to maintain stability. This is where sleep becomes philosophically terrifying, because consciousness may not be a permanent thing. It may be a recurring event, generated, dissolved, generated again. Every single day, we need to confront the strangest implication of all, because modern civilization may be forcing your brain into a sleep pattern it was never designed to experience, and the consequences may already be reshaping human consciousness itself.